Dragon Ball is the most popular anime of all time, but unfortunately it's also the anime with the most missed potential in my opinion, especially Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball Super is a downgrade from the previous series in a lot of ways, from the characters to the plot to the animation. Today I'm going to be reviewing every arc of Dragon Ball Super, as well as Dragon Ball Super Broly and Dragon Ball Super Superhero, and explaining my disappointment in the series. I'll start by reviewing every arc of Dragon Ball Super in order, followed by the two movies. The God of Destruction arc was acceptable. The first thing I noticed about the show was the animation and the art style. It feels off. It feels stiff and plasticky, like the characters are made of toys or something. The hand-drawn animation from the previous series was way more animated and expressive. The animation does get better later on, but for most of the show, the animation feels very subpar. The humor in the show was pretty decent. It has decent slapstick humor, and I like how it involves characters like Vegeta who are mostly serious. And I think it was super fun having everyone on eggshells trying not to upset Beerus, and seeing Vegeta absolutely terrified of someone was pretty funny. And this arc obviously introduces Beerus, and I like him. He's pretty fun, and I like how a huge reason for him not destroying the Earth was because of the food there. I also think his voice actor is really good, and he also stands as someone who's nearly impossible to surpass or even match in power by our main characters, which always gives them something to strive for. I also like the interactions between Beerus and Whis and how they play off each other. Goku is mostly fine in this arc and the show in general, although I don't like how dumb they made him in Super. Goku at the very least should know how to fucking count, and he definitely should know what a fucking kiss is. This was acceptable when he was a kid, but he's way too old for this shit now. I still like Vegeta and his rivalry with Goku, and how salty he is that Goku is stronger than him. I also like the Super Saiyan God ritual. I thought it was pretty cool, and it's definitely the highlight of this arc. It's too bad we don't see much more of this transformation, because it has the most interesting concept, and it's my favorite transformation in DBZ. The fight between Goku and Beerus was fine, I guess, but it was ruined by being drawn out way too much, which is a recurring problem in this series. The more it drew out, the less I cared. My favorite part was when Goku gets a second win after getting knocked out by Beerus. That was a good moment, but this fight is way too long. Overall, I think this arc was perfectly fine. It introduced a fun new character and level of power for our main characters to strive for. This arc had problems with pacing, but it was mostly fine. 6.5 out of 10. One thing I don't like about this show is how mean they made Chi-Chi. In DBZ, she was much more reasonable and supportive of Goku. Now she's mostly just mean. It would have been nice if she had a better arc of being more supportive of Goku, and finally letting him train. But Goku just goes off to train anyway, and Chi-Chi just stops caring for some reason. Resurrection F was whatever. Like most things in this show, it has highs and lows, and I'm not sure if the pros outweigh the cons. Obviously, the best part of this arc is Frieza. He has so much personality, and he's so evil, and he loves it. And I love it. We all love it. I also love the banter between Goku and Frieza. But unfortunately, this arc is the beginning of the problems I have with Krillin. I don't like how Krillin is too afraid to fight against Frieza's army. Krillin was never the most confident person, but his courage was always greater than his fear. He shouldn't even be hesitating to fight them, especially after everything he's been through. And especially given how his family and the entire Earth is on the line here. This is just too far. I know he hasn't trained in a while, and that's a problem in and of itself. And this gets worse later on. I also think Jocko was pretty funny in this arc. I know he's not important, but I think he's funny. One of the things I don't like about the fight is how everyone is just standing in the way. Frieza almost kills Krillin and Bulma because they refuse to evacuate. Also, the reveal of Super Saiyan Blue was pretty cool. But I think it was stupid how Goku was almost killed, let alone got hurt by a laser gun. I don't care that he dropped his guard, he should not have been hurt by a mere laser. Stupid shit like this happens later on in the series too. This is just one of the examples of Super's bad writing. I did like the ending of the fight and how salty and bitter Frieza was. And the do-over was a nice idea and added another layer of tension during the fight. And at the end of the arc, Gohan asks Piccolo to train him again because he realizes that being stronger might actually be helpful in protecting his loved ones. Which, no shit. It's ridiculous that he's going this long without training, and he's just now realizing becoming stronger might actually be a good thing. I know people like to excuse this by saying he's been fighting since he was a little kid, and it's understandable that he doesn't want to fight anymore, and I think this is a poor excuse. If anything, this should have made him realize how many threats to the Earth there are. It should have motivated him to train even more. But I'm glad that he finally realizes this, because this scrawny Gohan is just not it. I'm sure he won't make this mistake again, right? In conclusion, this arc was decent. It definitely had its moments, and seeing Frieza again is always a treat, although it's less so in later arcs, but I'll get to that later. We had a cool fight, some character development, and a satisfying ending. 6.5 out of 10. The Universe 6 Saga introduces Champa, and I don't really like him that much. I find him obnoxious and annoying. I did like Hit. He has an interesting gimmick to the fight that actually challenges Goku and Vegeta. I didn't really care about any of the other fights in the tournament except this one, and Hit is the only person I like from Universe 6, or from any other universe besides Universe 7 for that matter. I found the rest of them either boring or annoying, but we'll get into that more later. I guess it's somewhat interesting to have actual good Saiyans who devote themselves to helping people rather than conquering. But Kappa himself really isn't that interesting. He's a generic nice guy who wants to do good, because that's what nice guys do, I guess. But he's really not that interesting on his own. Then there's this text-to-speech robot, which, yeah. There's a bear, and finally fake Frieza, who's nowhere near as fun as real Frieza. And I've already talked about how annoying Champa is. I do think it was pretty cool how Beerus used his wish for Champa. I thought that was nice. I also liked how Beerus uses Monaka. It leads to some funny moments. And I also liked the episode where Goku fights Monaka. It's just a fun filler episode. I also thought it was pretty cool how Vegeta taught Kappa how to turn Super Saiyan. And we get some wholesome moments with Goku and Piccolo. It's moments like these that makes this show worth watching despite its flaws. This arc was fine enough. It introduced us to a cool new character and the multiverse. And we also get a cool fight. I'm just not a huge fan of most of the characters from Universe 6. 6.5 out of 10. The Future Trunks arc is a mixed bag. First off, it's nice to see Future Trunks again, but I don't like how they changed his hair from purple to blue. I love Future Trunks' hair. Now it's just a generic blue. Coupled with Super's mediocre animation, he just looks way less cool now. I like Goku Black. His goals are more complex than any other DBZ villain, which I know isn't saying much, but is something. It was interesting seeing a Kai turn evil. I did have some problems with the setup for his motivations though. One of the key things that made Zamasu lose faith in humans was seeing a group of barbaric creatures, and going into the future to see if they improved. And when he did go into the future, they did improve, but they still fought with each other. And he uses this to confirm the idea that mortals are beyond saving. This is really stupid because they actually did improve and start to civilize, but they still fought. Does this guy know that deities fight as well? He was just told that Beerus fought with Goku. This guy must not know about Beerus and Champa. And it's also stupid because they only went 1,000 years into the future. That's basically nothing on the evolutionary scale. But this is somehow the definitive proof that all mortals should die. This just seems kinda dumb. I like this philosophical debate he has with Gowasu about good and evil. I think DBZ should have more moments like these and explore these types of themes more. It was nice having the Dragon Ball plot with a bit of mystery in it. Another thing I wish this series had more of. He also uses energy constructs, which is something new. I also like the interactions between Future Trunks and Vegeta, and how Vegeta rightfully scolds Trunks for thinking he can rely on Vegeta and Goku to defeat Black, when there's obviously going to be new threats he has to deal with, and this motivates him to get stronger. I also don't really like Zeno that much. It's hard to like him when he's completely genocidal. He destroyed 6 universes because he was angry. This character is also unoriginal. We already got the childlike but super powerful character with Fat Boo, and Zeno is just that. I think the supreme ruler of the multiverse could have been a lot more interesting. I also like the part where Vegeta is fighting Black and how he explains how he would never have the same skill and fighting prowess as Goku, acknowledging his strength and skill. In conclusion, this arc was decent. It had the most complex villain in Dragon Ball so far, some nice character moments, and introduced some cool gimmicks. It was nice to see Future Trunks again, and it was nice to see him get the final blow. I don't like that this arc didn't really have any long-lasting consequences, and nothing really changes in the end for the main timeline, besides Goku and Vegeta getting stronger, which they do all the time. But I enjoyed this arc for the most part. 7 out of 10. There's another stupid moment in the show where Krillin gets hurt by a bullet. He's obviously way too strong to get hurt by a gun. And it's even more stupid when Goku gets hurt by a gun. This guy has god level powers. There's no way he should be able to even notice a bullet hitting him, even if he's off guard, even without training for a while. Let's not forget that Kid Goku was tanking bullets like it was nothing. Another example of Super's ridiculous writing. I did like the episode where Krillin and Goku train with Roshi and decides to become a fighter again, which was long overdue. The Tournament of Power arc is the arc I have the most problems with. First off, it was nice seeing Gohan train with Piccolo and actually being serious and cool again. It reminded me of the Cell arc. This is what Gohan needs to be. Frieza also comes back to fight in the Tournament of Power, and I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this. On one hand, it's nice to see him again because he's a really fun villain, but on the other, I think he's being used too much. This is the 3rd time that Frieza is being brought back to life. I didn't like most characters. The only character I liked from different universes was Hit. I didn't like Caulifla, Kale, or anyone else from the other universes. Caulifla and Kale were just uninteresting and generic. Caulifla is a cocky and confident girl who always wants to get stronger, and Kale is the shy, timid girl who has a secret power hidden within her. You've seen these characters before. There's nothing inherently wrong with these archetypes, because some of our main characters have these same traits and we actually like them. But there's nothing else to these characters. Caulifla doesn't have enough redeeming qualities in her personality like the other arrogant characters. She's just cocky and arrogant, and that's all there is to her. And it doesn't really make her very likable. And the same goes for Kale. These characters are way too simplistic. They're not interesting or likable. Also, Jiren is super whack. His design is lame, he's boring, and his backstory is generic. And he is too powerful. And we don't even know how he got so powerful. We understand why he wants to be powerful, even if it is generic. But how did he get this powerful? Even implied to be more powerful than this universe's destroyer. Maybe we'll have a stupid explanation for this in a future movie. Also, Beerus reviving Frieza was stupid, and the reasoning was supposedly because he fought the best, which wasn't even true. The character who fought the best was arguably Roshi, or what about Vegeta or Goku? Frieza has some decent moments, but most of the time he was either kicking back watching a show or bullying the weaklings. And why would Beerus care enough about Frieza to resurrect him in the first place? Even if he fought well. This just doesn't seem like something Beerus would do. This is just a lazy way for the writers to bring back Frieza. And I like Frieza, but it wasn't necessary to bring him back. I think the writers are using him too much. There's also a lack of tension during this tournament. No one seems scared or worried about the outcomes if they lose. Everyone is just cocky, shit-talking, and overall seems to be having a good time. It doesn't seem like the dire event that it is. And I don't like how Krillin was eliminated. He eliminates one person then gloats while on the edge of the arena, then gets knocked out by someone from behind. This is just dumb. Krillin should be smarter than this. And since this is a battle with so many people in it, there's a lot of encounters for characters we don't really care that much about. For example, we spend a lot of time with the contestants of Universe 2, but I don't like any of them, and I actually find them to be quite annoying. There's nothing interesting about them whatsoever, and these encounters honestly just feel like fluff. Actually, a lot of the Tournament of Power feels like fluff. Huge portions of this arc could have been cut, and the arc would have been better off for it. I just found myself tuning out for large portions of this arc. I also don't like how Goku achieved Ultra Instinct. Goku achieves Ultra Instinct by falling into a black hole. He doesn't achieve it naturally. It happens by accident. We don't really see him training for Ultra Instinct specifically. He mostly just trains like he always does. None of his training correlates with the technique of Ultra Instinct. We don't see him trying to make his body fight on his own or anything during training, or during the Tournament of Power. Ultra Instinct just happens when he falls into the black hole. The reveal of the transformation was cool, but the way it was achieved was underwhelming. I do like how excited Wiz is when Goku achieves his new form, but I don't like the musical theme for it. It just sounds goofy to me for some reason. I also like that Roshi gets plenty of time to shine. I also like how Beerus tells Krillin to give a senzu to Roshi so that he doesn't die. He didn't need to do that. This arc also overstates his welcome. This arc should have been half as long. If that was the case, I probably would have liked it way more. I also don't like how much talking there is during the tournament. Characters don't have to explain every single thing that happens. We can clearly see it. There's way too much commentary from the spectators. I also don't like how the whole reason for the Tournament of Power was completely changed at the end. Now all of a sudden the tournament was a test of virtue for the universes. This comes completely out of nowhere. I knew that the universes would come back somehow at the end of the tournament, but this retcon is just stupid. So if the winner of the Tournament of Power didn't wish back the universes, Zeno would have destroyed the whole cosmos, including the universe that won, because that shows that the universes are worth saving or whatever. Now, Zeno has the mind and personality of a child. Why would he care about any of this? This explanation just feels tacked on and hard to believe. This also applies to why the Tournament of Power was created. Apparently, Zeno wanted to erase the universes with the lowest mortal ranking for not improving or whatever. Or at least that's what I think. Again, why would Zeno care about any of this? He's literally a fucking child. So why would he care about the weak universes not improving? Also, this still isn't even the true reason why the Tournament of Power was created. It was created because Zeno wanted to see all the universes fight each other. It was for his own entertainment. So the show lied to me. Twice. And I don't know why the motivations for the Tournament of Power was changed so much. Just stick with one motivation. It seems unnecessary and stupid. It doesn't even change much. In conclusion, this is the worst, most disappointing arc in the show. It had a lot of potential, but it was mostly squandered because of bad writing and bad execution. Most of the characters were generic and uninteresting, including our main antagonist. The transformations were underwhelming, and there was just too much dumb shit in this arc. 5 out of 10. Now on to Dragon Ball Super Broly. The animation in this movie is pretty good, and better than anything in Dragon Ball Super. I also like the extra lore we get for the Saiyans, but I don't like the retcon for why Bardock sent Goku to Earth. This is completely unnecessary. We should have spent this time fleshing out the relationship between Paragus, Broly, and his friends more. It also makes the story way more generic. I like the original origin way better. Also, Frieza's motivation to retrieve the Dragon Balls was stupid. He wants to collect the Dragon Balls to make himself taller. I don't have to explain why this is stupid. I don't know why Toriyama liked to make such jokes of his characters. Wasn't Frieza supposed to be menacing, scary, intimidating? So he didn't wish to become immortal, or to rule the universe. Why the hell does he care about getting a few inches taller? I might be overreacting, but it's just annoying to see characters I like being turned into jokes. I also like that Broly is much more of a character now. Before, he really wasn't much of a character at all. He was just a really strong dude who wanted to beat up Goku for the stupidest reason possible. But in this movie, he has a certain amount of depth to his character. He has a better backstory and more of a personality. I mean, it's nothing extraordinary, but he's definitely better than how he was in the DBC movies. Although I admit that's not saying much. But I don't like that Broly doesn't really have any goals. He's mostly just being controlled by Paragus, which I understand, but Broly also needs to want something, or try to achieve something because he wants to. What does he actually want? We don't know. He fights Goku and Vegeta because he was told to. He goes back to Vampa because his friends wished him back there. He doesn't do anything on his own accord. Also, Frieza's motivation for wanting to use Broly was stupid. He wants to use Broly in the future to kill Goku and Vegeta, because he doesn't think he can do it. I don't think this is something Frieza would do. Frieza, you can say, is a little prideful. And I know that Frieza would want to take down Goku and Vegeta himself. And he could. He would never use another Saiyan to kill the two Saiyans that he hates. Remember when Frieza caught up and even surpassed Goku and Vegeta in only 4 months of training? He moved from being weaker than Namek Saga Super Saiyan to being stronger than Super Saiyan Blue. Why didn't Frieza just train for a while, maybe develop a new transformation, and beat them? He didn't need the help of Broly. I did like the fight, largely because it was really nice to look at. It's easy to forget how much animation quality can enhance a fight scene. You can feel the impact behind these attacks. I like when Vegeta turned Super Saiyan God, since we've never seen him do that before. Although it would have been nice to see how he achieved that form in Super. I also like when Broly uses Icarus. It was interesting to see him use the power of a great ape without turning into one. A unique transformation we've never seen before. And I think it's really funny how Frieza killed Paragus just to piss Broly off enough, just to get him to turn Super Saiyan. And his transformation was pretty cool. It's also funny how Goku and Vegeta sicked Broly on Frieza. and he has to take a break to learn fusion with Piccolo. I also think it's funny how Frieza was getting his ass handed to him for an hour straight, while Goku and Vegeta were learning fusion. And it was nice to see Gogeta finally become canon. This is one of the most fun fights in Dragon Ball, and it's not bogged down by being stretched out for 30 episodes. I like Dragon Ball Super Broly way better than all of Dragon Ball Super. The fight in this movie is better than anything we've seen so far. The animation of Broly blows away anything in Super. And with it being a movie, the pacing is way better than Super, and I enjoy watching it way more. There were some problems with it. Weird, not necessary retcons, and characters doing things that are completely out of character. But nonetheless, I mostly enjoy watching this movie. 7 out of 10. I don't like much of anything in Dragon Ball Super superhero. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty tired of the Red Ribbon Army. We've seen them too much. They've been a main source of conflict in DBZ twice already, and I never really cared about them in the first place. The character writing is also pretty bad in this movie. I'm really annoyed that Gohan has gone back to not training again. I thought he learned his lesson in Dragon Ball Super. He should always be training for the next world-ending villain. Why is his character regressing backwards? I'm so sick of the writers ruining his character. Now he can't even pick up his own daughter from school because he's obsessed with studying bugs? What the fuck is happening? His character should be moving forwards, not backwards. How many times does he have to learn this lesson? And why the hell couldn't he sense Piccolo? Are you telling me he was depowered so much that he couldn't even sense Ki? This is just disgraceful. Why does Gohan let himself slip so much given what's at stake? How hard is it to just train every once in a while? He can train and still study, right? It was also nice seeing Piccolo training Pan, although I wish it was Gohan training Pan, but this was nice to see. Our characters also do some pretty dumb things. Hato is supposed to be really smart, but he just believes Magenta when he says that Bulma wants to take over the Earth without a second thought. And all he's shown as proof is a video of Trunks killing Frieza, and he doesn't even look further into it. I don't think this is sufficient evidence that Bulma and her alien friends want to dominate the planet. This is just kinda stupid. I also find it kinda stupid how Piccolo's pride prevents him from wishing for Shenron to get rid of the Red Ribbon Army, putting the whole Earth at risk. I don't think Piccolo should be this immature. Goku and Vegeta maybe, but not Piccolo. Especially when he later asked Shenron to draw this latent power. Essentially a power boost. Is this also not cheating or taking a shortcut? Kinda dumb. I also don't like the explanation for Jiren's strength. Apparently it's because he uses his power more efficiently, and that he was actually close to Vegeta and Goku in terms of raw strength. He remains calm and relaxed until he attacks. Now this is definitely something that Goku already knew. Why does he act clueless when he asks what Vegeta was doing? And I don't accept this explanation. I don't buy the idea that Jiren got this powerful through training his mind. It's such a lazy explanation. I don't care about the overall plot either. I don't care about the androids, Max, or the Red Ribbon Army. The androids were boring, the Red Ribbon Army was boring and overused, and Max was just a mindless, boring monster. And Krillin is also being a coward again, which I don't like. And I don't like Gohan's beast form, a complete asspull, especially considering he hasn't trained in a while. His form doesn't feel earned and there was no build up at all. He just got angry and developed an entire new transformation we've never seen before. Ridiculous. I feel like this movie was created just to give Gohan and Piccolo a new form. Overall, I didn't like this movie. There were only a few things I actually liked about it. I didn't care about our antagonists, and I don't like the new forms presented in this movie. And the character writing wasn't very good. 5.5 out of 10. In conclusion, Dragon Ball Super was a pretty flawed show. The character writing was mostly subpar, making characters do what they normally wouldn't do. There were too many moments of character regression in this series, with characters having to relearn lessons multiple times. The visual quality of the series was lacking for the most part. The only good animation I've seen was in Dragon Ball Super Broly. Our antagonists were pretty weak, only like Zamasu and Frieza. Zamasu at least has some level of depth to his character, and Frieza was just super fun, even though I thought he was used too much. The transformations were underwhelming and felt undeserved. There's just a lot of dumb stuff throughout. I still like Dragon Ball, and Super has a lot of the good stuff you expect from it, but the execution of its concepts just falls short. Anyways, that's what I think about Dragon Ball Super. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe if you want, Patreon in the description if you want to support, and bye.
Hold your fire! This man isn't black!